race fans, howdy howdy, how you doing? This is In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott, and as ever, each week, In the Pits is brought to your little computer screen by Monte Carlo Express Delivery. Monte Carlo Express Delivery has been serving the courier needs of the Puget Sound for over a decade now. Please like us on Facebook. Okay, racing this week started Friday morning with NASCAR and doing practice and qualifying. There wasn't any F1 this weekend, so NASCAR was the big deal on the table with practice and qualifying Friday for both Xfinity, how many times am I going to mess that up? Xfinity and Sprint Cup at Richmond's 3/4 mile oval action track. And there was a lot of action over the weekend. But I needed to work, pay for stuff, money, that stuff, so I need to work a little bit. So I did go out and do that instead of watching practice and qualifying. But I ditched work early because I didn't want to miss the live Xfinity race, although I could have missed it. I tell you, Denny Hamlin in the number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing Camry stunk the show up this weekend at Richmond. I tell you, I know it's his home track and everything, but golly, let other people have a little bit of fun. Well, he did, but along the way, Denny Hamlin led every lap in the Xfinity race. I think I was about 250 laps, except one, and that one was led by the number 2 of Brian Scott, no relation to StockCar Scott, and he only led that by a bumper. Denny just dominated the rest of the show. Nothing else to talk about. In points, Xfinity drivers became untied at the top. Ty Dillon is still at the top, but not tied with Chris Buescher anymore. Ty Dillon in his Pop's number 3 Camaro. There is sole leader at the top of the Xfinity driver points. Chris Buescher dropped down to 3rd in his number 60 Roush Mustang. Moving up to 2nd is the number 9 of Chase Elliott in that Napa Junior Motorsports Camaro. Number 4 is, or 4th, I should say, is still the number 6 of one of my favorite drivers, Bubba Wallace, Darrell Wallace Jr. from Mobile, Alabama. He is still 4th in his Roush Mustang. So, and 5th did change. 5th is now the number 7 Junior Motorsports Camaro of Regan Smith. He has moved up, and last week I think it was Ryan Reed was there, but he has dropped down. Saturday was supposed to be watching racing on TV. And that was because it was supposed to be raining here locally. Well, you folks who wanted to watch Richmond on Saturday night know exactly what I'm talking about, because they canceled the race by about just about the time it came on. I was already reading online that it had been canceled just like 5 minutes into the Fox presentation. They only went for an hour. Till 4 o'clock. I watched that, and it still gave me time to drive down to Rochester and watch the late models down at South Sound Speedway, because the weather.com said that they were supposed to be having good weather for the evening, so I really went all in, go for broke there, and drove on down there. Had to drive through a little rain, but I just kept on going because the sun was out and it was just a little light rain. And as we say in the South, that just means the devil's beating his wife. So I headed on down. I stopped at one of the little Love's truck stops along the interstate there, and was able to pick me up a couple of really nice new junior shirts, and that was real nice. But it got me going. It got me a little late there. Got to South Sound just a little bit late, so I missed the first attempt at them starting the first of the 30-lap mains for the late models, because they had dual late models that night. That's why I figured it would be cool to go on down there and see that. So anyway, as I was finding my seat, setting up the camera and everything, somebody had already spun before they could even get the first lap in, so they had a complete restart. And big wreck ensued with the big restart. And I tell you, a couple of cars were put totally out of the race, and a couple of other cars were changed into uncompetitive limpers for the rest of the evening. But number 5, Kyle Markstrom, won that first main with Cody Erskine in his number 17. The division points leader was second, so I imagine he's probably hanging on to that lead. Then came all of the heat races for the other divisions, the Stinger 8s, Hobby Stocks, and the Baby Grands. All got a chance to run their heat races. Then came the mains for all those other divisions. And I found that the Stinger 8 race was really a perfect time for me to enjoy my favorite racing fare, which is the South Sound Speedway Chicken Strips Basket. Yum, yum. That is good eating, folks. In fact, anytime you're down at South Sound, be sure to get you something, because they have some really, really good concessions down there. In the Baby Grand main, the number 36 of Brad Crawford won after working his way up from the back there. And second and third were Corey and Kurt Boyle in their cars there. So it was an interesting contest. It had its share of cautions, but still, a little bit of good racing there going on. Next was the Hobby Stocks. A little bit disappointing there. Only 5 started the main, and 3 of those fell out during the 25-lap feature that they had, ultimately leaving the number 47 of Charles Metters winning over the number 31 of Zach Florek. The second 30-lap main was more of the same. Racing and wrecking was their game, I tell you. Robert Mears in the number 44 led the smaller and battered field to the green, but again, it didn't go a lap before caution came out in turns 3 and 4. From what I heard, not a whole lot unlike the beginning of the first 30-lap main. So after a restart, they actually got some good racing in there for quite a few laps. The front 4 cars were racing really close, and it was really tight. Had the 44 of Mears, the 21 of Paul Field, the 55 of Chad Hinkle, and the 17 of Cody Erskine. And as the announcer said from time to time, you could throw a blanket over them, folks, because they were running that closely all together. So whatever happened, they raced real hard, and Field and Hinkle got out to the front, and then in turns 3 and 4, they got together some, a little bit there, and spun on into turn 4 and piled up with, I think, 44 Mears. Robert Mears got in there with them. And then I missed what happened after that. I just saw everybody was, pulling away from each other, and it looked like Mears was going to go maybe back to the pits, and so I turned off the camera, and lo and behold, something happened between Robert Mears and Richard Kerr in his number 56, and both those cars were out of the race for the rest of the night. I mean, Kerr was already tore up, but by the time that lap was done, both he and mirrors were just destroyed. When things finally got cleaned up and restarted, there was a lot of really good hard racing during the last half of the race between the number 17 of Cody Erskine and the number 5 of Kyle Markstrom. And they battled really hard and really clean. And it was nice, showing that it could actually be done without having to wreck all the time. And what was left of a chilly crowd of fans cheered for that really good racing that was going on, but not too much for the wrecking that was going on. I heard a couple of people ask, does that seem like a lot of wrecks for tonight, didn't it? So hopefully, the late models have all that wrecking out of their system, so the next time I go see one of their events that it will be more racing than wrecking, because that's always better. The number, like I said, the number 17 and the number 5 showed us that it could be done with some hard racing with their wins. In fact, that's the way they finished the races. Was the first race was the 5 and the 17, and the second race was the 17 and the 5. So good racing there, guys. Oh, and the hot chocolate was delicious and warming, because we needed it that night. And even with all the wrecks, racing still got done with by like about 9:30 or so, 9:20, 9:30, well before 10 o'clock. Had plenty of time to get back home, make the drive back to Seattle, because, of course, I had to get up early the next day to watch NASCAR racing from Richmond. That started right on time at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, with number 22, Joey Logano, starting on the pole. And he led a lot of the early laps, but it was pretty evident pretty soon that Kurt Busch had the car to beat. Busch, in his Stewart-Haas Racing number 41 Chevy, made his way through various cautions and pitting strategies to run in the number 1 position during most of the race. And, of course, Kurt winning after such personal travails and character assassinations in his recent life seemed to help put that recent past chapter behind him. Also, as long as Kurt Busch stays in the top 30 in points for the rest of the season, he's in the chase, folks. So let's see how that turns out. His teammate, defending champion Happy Harvick, was second, and 6-time champion number 48 Jimmy Johnson was third there at Richmond. My guy Dale Jr. was 14th, I think 2 laps down. Harvick is still atop the points for right now with his 2 wins and point total. Logano is second with the second highest point total and 2 wins, and I think Jimmy Johnson with 2 wins has the third highest point total right now. Local favorite Casey Kane is 6th, and my favorite Junior is 8th in points right now. Let's take a little break. Hadn't got too much more to go. But it was really nice to get out to South Sound for the first time this year. It was good racing in between the wrecking. Also Sunday, though, back to Sunday. Online, I followed the ARCA race at Salem, Indiana, and it looked like it was a pretty good race from just listening to a little bit of it on their podcast, webcast there, and watching the leaderboard. I could see that my favorite ARCA driver right now, number 23, Grant Enfinger, also from the Mobile, Alabama area, did not get his 4th win in a row to start off the season as we had hoped. No, but he did wreck trying, so he didn't get a good finish at all. He was trying to catch up there to another one of my all-time favorite drivers in ARCA and in NASCAR, number 52, Kenny Schrader. He held on to the lead during most of the race there in his Federated Auto Parts Toyota Camry. And it just took me back to a time that I actually saw Kenny win there in an ARCA race several years ago. 15 years ago now. 14 was the first race at the now already closed Nashville Superspeedway at Lebanon, Tennessee. It was their first race there. They had just opened up the track and put on their first race. It was a good race. Shauna Robinson was there. Carrie Earnhardt. Well, no, not Carrie Earnhardt, but Stedman Marlin and Dale Jarrett's kid. He was there. But a lot of up and coming guys at the time. But what made that Friday the 13th in 2001 so wonderful was mainly because it was the first race attended by my wife and me. We weren't man and wife yet, but it was our first race together. And the next race, the next day, was a then Busch Series race, and it was Greg Biffle's first Busch Series win there, and it was wonderful because she got to see her favorite driver win a race. So it was a wonderful weekend. But again, first ARCA race, Kenny Schrader won, and I happen to have an old recording of that from Speed Vision before it was Speed Channel, when it was Speed Vision. And I actually pulled that one out and watched it last night. That was really fun. That Nashville track, I really wish that it had been able to stay open. I guess because it never got a cup race, it just wasn't able to make it though. But it was a great track. I wish I could transplant it out to here and have races on it out here. I mean, because it was... Anyway. Also on Sunday, besides NASCAR and ARCA, was the IRL event at Barber Motorsports Park near Birmingham, Alabama. It's a really nice road course with all types of elevation and stuff in it. But I missed the first half of the race basically because NASCAR was still on at Richmond, so I had to watch that. I did catch a little bit at the end with Joseph Newgarden from Hendersonville, Tennessee, winning in a Chevrolet-powered car. So, wasn't all that bad. Chevy, a Southern guy. Hey, I like that. Graham Rahal was second in his Honda-powered car, and Scott Dixon was third, also Chevy-powered. The announcers really felt that it was a good thing that the top two drivers were both American. Good to have Americans winning in an American IRL racing there. But maybe they just need to try to have better racing and better looking cars. Maybe that would get people to tune in. It wouldn't hurt. I would. Maybe a little more. My favorite for right now, IRL racer, used to race in NASCAR. Juan Pablo Montoya also used to race in Formula One. Races there in IRL, and he still leads the points. Dancing with the Stars star Helio Castroneves is in second. And Australian Scott Dixon is third in points. All Chevy powered. Chevy. So anyway, why am I dressed like this? Because it's Talladega. Talladega's coming. Junior wins at Talladega this weekend. Talladega. I get to watch racing from my home, Alabama, at my favorite track, folks. I'm geared up. I'm stoked. And while I'm thinking about it, today is April 29th, which makes it Dale Earnhardt's birthday. Happy birthday to number 3, the Intimidator, the master of Talladega, with a record 10 wins at Talladega. Yeah, and that's where he got his last win, was at Talladega. And I saw the 9th win of that 10 winning stretch there at Talladega back in 1999 when I went there with my brother Robert. It was a great day. It was fun. And also there at Talladega, I saw Juan Pablo Montoya race in an ARCA race for his first stock car race there at Talladega. And I saw Junior win in the Budweiser car during my honeymoon. That's why I have such a wonderful wife, guys, because she likes to go to the races. We went to Talladega to the hunt. That's, you know, I can't complain at all. Anyway, and another reason I like Talladega, my first favorite driver I ever picked won at Talladega in front of me when I was there, sitting there watching Sterling and waving my number 4 flag from back here. Can't hardly see it anymore, Sterling down here. And give me a drink from Sterling glass. But that's why I like Talladega, folks, because they drive fast. It's great. And so I'll be home Friday. I'm going to take off work. Going to take off May Day there. And anytime the cars are on track at Talladega, I will be watching them. That's what I do. And I'll watch practice every time they're out there on the track. And then come, I think about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, going to be the ARCA race. And that's definitely worth watching. If you get a chance to get home or run a tape, run your video recorder, whatever you do, get that ARCA race, because it's going to be a good one. And then Saturday, it's going to be the Xfinity race at Talladega. Get to see Ty Dillon. He's good on the restrictor place tracks, and Chase Elliott and all those. Get to see how my favorite there, Bubba Wallace, does at what's going to be his home track there of Alabama. You know, so it'll be great to see that. Hopefully the weather will be great in Alabama and up here in Washington, so I can make it a double race day. And after the race there at Talladega with the Xfinity, we'll be able to go down to South Sound Speedway again this weekend in time for a little super late model 100 lap feature. Yeah, that's going to be a good one, folks. And I think they're also having Bumblebees and Legends and Pro 4s, Pro 4 late models. So that'll be a good bunch of races to go see. Evergreen's also going to be having their super late models running, but they're only going to run for 75 laps. And they're also having 1 hour of fear with their figure 8 races, which I don't think I'd really want to sit through. So I'll go back to Evergreen in a couple of weeks. I think they're going to have a late model feature just the week after this. So I'll see you there soon, folks. Oh, this weekend, Wenatchee, they had a little race this past weekend. So congratulations to Taylor Riddle, but more importantly, best well wishes, get well soon there to number 99 Shane Mitchell, who was in a really scary crash there on the front stretch going into 1 and 2. The car caught fire, so but he got out, and from what I understand, he didn't get knocked out. So hopefully he's feeling better and be well enough to race here soon. But funny how I saw the crash on video from the Wenatchee Super Valley Super Oval there, from the no video recording grandstands. Yeah, I still wonder if that sign is still up. that says no video recording in the grandstands. But what do they expect? Everyone has smartphones today. Everyone has the ability to just reach in their pocket and shoot some video. So, again, I got my bone to pick with Wenatchee, and it has to do with videotaping. So, while we're on it, though, way to go, Parker Stevens, doing that 4th place. But that was last Sunday, folks. That was last Sunday. This Sunday is what we're talking about. This Sunday is going to be Talladega, Talladega, Talladega. And did I happen to mention that this weekend is Talladega? I so look forward to these races each season. I'm so glad that we get to see races at Talladega twice a year. It's just wonderful. But there are some folks that hate the racing at Talladega. They hate restrictor plate racing. They hate pack racing. They hate drafting. Well, I'm going to have the volume up during the race, cranked all the way up so I can't hear you. It's Talladega. Talladega, which means great racing and more great racing. I tell you, I'm looking forward to it. And, of course, I hope that Junior will get that 6th win. 6th win at Talladega. He got 4 in a row there during the early 2000s and an extra one to grow on. But that ain't nothing. He needs to go ahead and win at Talladega. For all of his fans, you would think he's from Talladega, Alabama, the way the cheers go up when he's introduced there. He's their favorite. He's my favorite. Hopefully he'll win. But whatever happens, that I will be on the edge of my seat during the whole race. Folks, watch it. It's Sunday. It's Talladega. It's racing. So, if you don't see me this weekend at South Sound, enjoying some late model racing along with some chicken strips and French fries there, I tell you, they're good. You need to go down there, if not only for the racing there at South Sound, but also for those really good concessions. But if you don't see me down there this weekend, because that's where I'll be, then you'll see me right here next week sometime when I get the show done. Because you know me, I'm StockCar Scott, and this is In the Pits. It's Talladega, folks. See you next week.